It's your boy T-Chronic back with episode 6 of the T-Chronicles podcast. Today is a very special topic because I think it's something that a lot of us go through but not a lot of people talk about. And I'm hoping that this episode can bring some healing or the awareness of it can kind of bring a little bit more clarity as to just letting people know that they're not alone. So this episode is about intrusive thoughts, and here's what we're going to talk about. This is an important episode to me because this is something I have personally struggled with in my life. And so I think it's been a long time coming to talk about this. So here's what we're going to break it down to. Intrusive thoughts. What are they? Different types and tips to defeat them. And below that I wrote shifting the weight and taking your power back. Mental clarity, connection, right? So what are intrusive thoughts? Intrusive thoughts are just that. They're thoughts that intrude. Thoughts that are not you. They just kick their way down your mind's door and enter into your mind. And you're like, where did that come from? Why did I think that? And there's so many different types of intrusive thoughts, from 0 to 100, you know? So an example of an intrusive thought would be, you know, you're driving over a bridge and all of a sudden you're like, what if I just turned my steering wheel and just drove off the side of that bridge? All of a sudden you're like, why did I think that? Where did it come from? I would never do that. What the hell? The fuck? It was a weird ass thought. Just the what if thoughts. What if this? What if that? And when you let those what if thoughts get to you, it sends you into fight or flight mode, fucks with your aura, fucks with your energy, fucks with your self-esteem, makes you feel horrible inside. And there's so many different types, right? You could be chopping up some vegetables and you're like, what if I just all of a sudden use this knife and fucking hurt somebody next to me? Like, what the fuck? That's insane. Like, man, I'd never do that. You know what I mean? Like, things that are just so far from the reality of who you are or the actions you would take, and you know your morals and you know who you are, and just like random thoughts that just pop out of nowhere. And sometimes also the external influences, like the news, just darkness out there, tampers with our own mind and makes us get anxiety about, oh no, like where did that thought come from? And so a lot of different types of intrusive thoughts, a lot of different types. You could be talking to somebody and all of a sudden in your head you're like, what if I just punch him in the face? The fuck? I would never do that. Just such out of character thoughts you do not identify with, and somehow they pop into your mind. And when that happens, and there's so many different types of intrusive thoughts, and I can go in depth onto different types of intrusive thoughts that have popped and crossed through my mind. Yeah, and I'm not scared to talk about them, but really I'd rather talk about what they are and identify what they are. But really, let's talk about how to face these motherfuckers, right? So, yeah, there's just a lot of different types. Basically anything that is not you, but is out of character or super deranged as hell, that there's just such depth to these thoughts and a lot of different types. And I keep saying that, but it's so true because there's so many branches of what is considered intrusive. My biggest thing that I've realized with mental clarity and with these types of thoughts is the more energy that you give to them, the more powerful that they get. And it's almost against your human nature not to give energy to them because you're like, where did that come from? Oh my gosh, I'm not that. Why did I even pop in my head? What a weird ass thought. So it's almost against your human nature not to feel that way because you know you're not that. But the biggest thing is when you don't give them energy and realize they're just a cloud in the sky passing by. They are not the sky. You are. They're just a cloud and they're passing by. The biggest thing is, which kind of leads me into tips to defeat them. So intrusive thoughts, what are they? Anything that you do not identify with that is not of high energy and intrudes. Anything that intrudes into your mental circle of happiness, that's an intrusive unwanted guest, right? The different types, like I was saying, there's so many different types of intrusive thoughts. And all in all, they're all under the same umbrella. And they're all a sad campsite, you know what I'm saying? So now we're going to like talk about how to defeat them. And this is where I'm going to get a little bit more thorough on it, because I think there is a trick to this. And first I want to say, if you do face intrusive thoughts, and if you've had thoughts that like you don't identify with, that make you feel crazy because you're like, why in the world did I just think that? Where did that come from? I feel like a shitty human being, you know, and your self-esteem gets dragged down and all that stuff. Just know that you're not alone. You are not alone. And a lot of people, this world is beautiful as hell, but it's also crazy as hell. And sometimes that gets to the psyche. And just know like you're not alone at all. All right? So the biggest thing that I have realized is shifting the weight. Like if a thought pops in your head, no matter what, and also they try to like, these are tricky motherfuckers. So like these thoughts will shift themes. You know, and the more energy you give them, the more weight they hold. So when they pop into your head, and like I was saying, it's almost against your human nature to not give them energy. When they pop into your head and all of a sudden you're like, dwell on it. You're like, where did that come from? Why did I think that? It starts to give that thought weight, whatever thought or thoughts that may be. So the next time that it pops into your head, it holds that previous weight you just gave it of panic, of fight or flight mode. And it pops again. You're like, oh my God, I just thought that again. Why did that pop in my head? Comes back around again. Why did that pop in my head? Pretty soon, like you're adding bricks to those thoughts. And every time it comes back, it's a little bit stronger. So how do you take those bricks off of that? When it pops in your head, it's remembering it's a cloud in the sky. When it pops in your head, the biggest thing is to not react to it. Not react to it. When it pops into your head, give it absolutely no energy. Almost treat it like a child who doesn't even know any better. Because it's not you. And if you were crazy serial killer or this or that, you would have already been that. You're not. You're all good. So when those thoughts pop into your head, the biggest thing that I have realized is do not fear them. And if you've listened to my music in the past, I've talked a lot about intrusive thoughts in different tracks. And the biggest thing I've realized is do not fear them. And it's natural to, because you know you're a good person, so your heart's like, why in the world did I just think that? But the more that you fear them when they pop in their head, the more weight you give them. But when they pop into your head and you realize, what a weird thought. That shit's silly to even think that would ever be a reality. The more that you don't identify with it, because you already know that you don't ultimately, but the more that you realize that is outlandish as fuck, the more that when it comes by, you take the weight back and put that weight on something positive. I'm a good person. I love my family. I have goals, aspirations, and I'm passionate about life. I love sunsets. I love seeing people smile. I love making people laugh. That's true. What's not true is the what if this, what if that. Oh my gosh, this horrible thought just popped in my head. I'm a piece of shit, you know. That's how you give weight to those thoughts. And it comes back around and the pendulum swings. That shit is heavy as hell. And then it's more heavy. It's got a fucking bigger punch on you. But when it comes around and it's trying to swing on you, you know what I'm saying? You remember who you are. Remember that you are a good person and that you're not a crazy person and shit. And also, crazy people don't think they're crazy, all right? So if you get these thoughts and you think I'm horrible and this or that, no, it's actually like your intuition's letting you know, like you actually care, and that's why you feel such strong emotion. So when these thoughts come around, the biggest thing is shifting the weight and taking your power back, because you have to remove the bricks and then put the bricks on something positive, and bring the scale on more of a, what weighs more is the positivity. You know what I'm saying? And the ironic part of that is the positivity don't weigh nothing. When it comes in, it's light. You feel light. You feel love. Take the power back. And it's hard to do that sometimes, but just know that you're not alone. And the more that you exercise, the mind is a muscle, and the more that you exercise it, the stronger that muscle gets. So when these thoughts come back around, you're able to, and just more, you just have so much more power and such an easy way to be like, yeah, that was fucking weird, but the waves are getting smaller and smaller and smaller because they're not hitting me as hard, because I'm not giving them the reaction that, these thoughts want to provoke. I am not. It just pops in my head. Cloud in the sky, pass by, cloud's gone. And that is how you shift the weight. That is the biggest thing I've realized, is to not fear these thoughts. When you fear them, all of a sudden you're in fight or flight mode, and you start questioning your morals, who you are, and it just spins you into a whirlwind of bullshit. And the fact that there's so many different types of intrusive thoughts, because really it's just intrusive. It's anything that is not good vibes, really. Fucking A, for lack of a better word. Shifting the weight is what it's all about. It's what it's all about. You look those thoughts in the face and you're like, you ain't getting me. You ain't gonna bring me down. You ain't gonna bring me down. And it takes a lot of time to do that. It takes a lot of time. But I promise you, the more that you step back, you're gonna get multiple steps ahead. You're going to be able to be more wise. You're going to acquire much more of a deeper connection with yourself through these struggles. The more that you replace the fear with courage, you replace the fear with knowingness, wholesomeness, and knowing who you are. Because that's the thing, is these thoughts try to rattle your being. They try to rattle your mind and everything you stand for. But you know who you are. Even when sometimes you don't think you do, you return back to your heart, and you return back to grounding yourself out. Those are a few mental tips of taking your power back. When those thoughts come around and they try to be a wrecking ball to your mind, you take that weight and you put it on something positive in your mind. Something that you know is real. Something that grounds you, and the knowingness of, I love my family. I'm a passionate person who cares about this world. Just give yourself the affirmations in your own head, and that helps shift the weight. And some other tips of how to shift the weight is go on a run, release some endorphins, work out. And the catch-22 is sometimes when you feel that way, that's the last thing you want to do. When you feel, just sad energy or just lower frequency that's provoked from experiencing these thoughts, it's like that's the last thing you want to do. Same thing with feelings like depression and stuff. But the only way to get through that is to push yourself to do something physically active for yourself. Take a walk, listen to a podcast, things that you like, and things that are real to you. That's what helped me. Just going on runs, working out. For me, music is huge. And the biggest thing I think also is knowing you're not alone. And I want to emphasize this more than anything else in this episode, is to let others know you're not alone. Sometimes we're in our own bubble and we're in our own little universe, and sometimes it's a hard place to be when you're not feeling right. But then speaking about it pops the other bubble next to the person by you, and you realize, whoa, like we go through something similar, and like I'm not alone in this, And for me, that's been a really healing thing, is to have unity and to talk about this, because this topic in particular is one of those vulnerable ones where people could judge you and think that, you're crazy and what the hell, you're a weirdo and da-da-da. But nah, I'll talk about it. And, like I said, I can go in depth on different types of thoughts in this, but it just ranges. They're all grains of sand. There's so many different types of intrusive thoughts, but whatever it is that crosses your mind that you don't identify with, that's why you go into fight or flight mode. That's why you go into a panic mode. It's because where did that come from? Why did I think that? It's because you're not that. And you take that power back. So remember that. You're not alone, and take your power back, and just know above all else that it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And another thing that is really helpful is meditation. That's been huge for me. Focus on your breath. Just meditate. Give some time a day to meditate and be with yourself. It helps ground yourself out. And the more rooted you are with yourself, the more rooted you are in the tree, the more you can be one with the leaves, just be one with your whole being. I'm about to start doing yoga too. I never got into yoga, so I'm super excited, and I know that'll be beneficial for me. So meditation, running, working out, doing things physically help a lot, and then mentally taking your power back. So when these thoughts pop into your head, of course, your human nature, because you are a good-hearted person, is to react to them in your mind and give them that weight and energy. But when they pop into your head, the more that you actually give them no energy and you let them just be the cloud in the sky, the easier they pass by. And then pretty soon the clouds get smaller and smaller. The waves get smaller and smaller. They're not hitting you as hard because you're not giving them energy. Love yourself and know you're not alone.